What's good with it? Welcome to the Lucky Lefty podcast. I am Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. It's a little earlier than you guys see us. That's why I got a little extra bass in my voice. The original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. At Overtime Malik, we are featuring Onora Whisky, premium American whiskey. Go to OnoraWhisky.com. A special going on for the holidays right now. As a matter of fact, we're making a push. Right now, we're just hitting the 900 mark in subscriptions. We thank you so much, LL Nation. Hashtag LL Nation. And for our 1,000 subscriber, we have a nice LL package for our 1,000 subscriber. We'll be talking more about that on tomorrow, telling you exactly what's in that package. A lot of Notre Dame news to get to. We're going to talk about the Notre Dame schedule for 2022. Hopefully tomorrow's show, we can tell you right now, on tomorrow's show, we're going to have former Notre Dame wide receiver Chris Fink, who's going to help us break down the difference between the Notre Dame wide receivers and the Oklahoma State wide receivers for the Fiesta Bowl. So that's tomorrow, right here at 8 o'clock. Chris Fink is going to help us break down the battle between the Oklahoma State and Notre Dame receivers. So be right here tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Lucky Lefty podcast. So, bro, can I go through some of the news for Notre Dame?
Let's go through it.
Yo, Notre Dame 2022 commit Josh Burnham was named the Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year. And 2023 commit Drake Bowen got the same honor in the state of Indiana. Notre Dame checked in on 2023 defensive back Justin Rett yesterday as Marcus Freeman and the staff went in home to see the young man. He's a 4-star out of Pennsylvania, and he will be the highest rated defensive back Notre Dame has gotten since 2007. Gary Gray.
Really?
Gary Gray was a dude I remember. I think Gary Gray is also from Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So, safety Adjavon Litchfield announced on yesterday that he's entering the transfer portal. He'll be leaving Notre Dame. On his Twitter, he penned a letter to Notre Dame and the fans saying thank you. He's scheduled to graduate in the spring, and he's looking forward to going on and continuing his football career. So that's what's up. Notre Dame also checked on 2022 DBs, Benjamin Morrison, in home with him, Jaden Mickey. Devin Moore, who decommitted, he'll be going to Florida this weekend, but he had an in-home visit for Marcus Freeman and Mike Elston and Mike Mickens on yesterday, and it seems like they've gotten things back in control, kind of, but he still wants to go on his visit to Florida this weekend. They also checked in on Jaden Bellamy. We talked about it. The staff went to go see defensive tackle Anthony Lucas from Chaparral out in Arizona. And then Marcus Freeman had an in-home visit with the young man. It went very well. Notre Dame is just looking to get him back on campus for his second official visit because of the the NCAA rule that allows new coaches to have offers and commits come back for a second visit. They're trying to get Anthony Lucas back on campus. And they think right now it's an uphill battle. It's a battle to get, Texas A&M and Alabama. But Mike Elston has been working on. Nice. And as I said before, Mike Elston was working on big-time guys like this by himself usually. He didn't have the help that he needed from the head coach. But now with Marcus Freeman being more aggressive, it looks like Mike Elston wants to go after even more big-time guys.
Yeah, and that's just an opportunity to show you where the recruiting is changing. Like we're getting the top-rated DB, we're getting guys staying in commitment, we're getting guys reconsidering their decision, and that's what you want to see on the effect of what the Marcus Freeman has on a program and on a recruiting trail where guys are convinced. That in-home visit, it hits a little harder with a Marcus Freeman than a Brian Kelly to players and parents. So I think this is just the trend that we'll see more as the years go on, and the result of that will be the higher rated recruits. I mean, solidifying a guy like Drake Bowden who's a 5-star guy, a guy that can be a centerpiece to a program, for him to still stay committed in a age where all the 5 stars are shuffling around if they don't like the slightest thing. So it is good to see Coach Freeman on the road solidifying some of these picks. And it's even better to see that heading into a 15-week practice when you're coming off of the road from recruiting, knowing you did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they go from Anthony Lucas and they checked in on California's modern day CJ Williams. They wanted to make sure that his commitment was, they thought with the move of Brian Kelly going to LSU, of course, Lincoln Riley going to USC, who was the normal leader for most of his recruitment. They checked in on him and things went very well. And it seems like he's recommitted to Notre Dame and firm in his pledge. So that's good things to know that he'll be more than likely coming up next week, signing with Notre Dame early next week.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that we need to go after hard on CJ Williams. I think that's another centerpiece to an offense where the receiver room can light up a little bit. You get more excited about seeing the big names in there, and it just would make it a better challenge for Tommy
Yeah.
to really have some all-star receivers that we have to get the ball to. I think in an offense like this, we have to get the ball to Kyron. But when you pull in recruits like CJ, you have to get the ball outside, and I think that's a change of pace. That'll be good to see for the offense.
And they also checked in, no in-home visit, but they checked in, made a call to defensive lineman Hero Canoe out of California. He also got a surprise. January 8th, he received his jersey to participate in the All-American Bowl. And he's going to participate in that, and that's when he's going to make his decision between the likes of Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, and a couple of the California schools. Spoke glowingly about the hiring of Marcus Freeman. What do you think about Hero Canoe from your neck of the woods?
Man, I think Hero is a great talent. And, anytime you get an All-American jersey in the mail, it just shows that your hard work is paid off. I'm excited to see. I never really understood the hat thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is the hat like maybe that's just a part of the show. But I know our hat looks the best up there, and I think that the key to a decision like that is the guys that are there that are also committed to Notre Dame at the All-American game. It leans heavy on them to kind of work his ears as he's getting towards that decision, only because those last decisions are hard, man. You can get swayed in many different directions, and that would be a benefit for us if we can have guys that also made it to the All-American game kind of talk to him before he makes that decision. But I think with an addition like that, a name like Hero, I mean, you're talking about changing the program overnight or at least taking the first right steps.
Kerry Cooks, former Oklahoma and Notre Dame coach, is headed to LSU to join Brian Kelly's staff as the defensive coordinator. News broke late last night. So shout out to Coach Kerry Cooks. Congratulations to him getting that type of opportunity in a big conference on a big stage.
Yeah, I think it's the reason why Elston had went down to LSU to just see if Coach Kelly was going to pull the trigger and give him the defensive coordinator job. I think when he didn't get that okay from Kelly, he had ended up coming back. But it seems that he had his eyes set on a Coach Cooks, who's also been a part of Coach Kelly's coaching career for a while. Brought him back from Oklahoma, so there's really a strong connection there. And Coach Cooks, man, a DB coach being a defensive coordinator, you know one thing, that DBU will be coming back in some aspect. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy because I didn't even know Coach Cook was up for a defensive coordinator position. But, it's always good to see the black man get a chance. And he's going down to LSU territory where, that passing game, them DBs are elite. So it's a good fit to start, but it'll be interesting to see how they build that defense out.
Oh, absolutely. And most high school football across the nation is already done, but the state of California is still tying a nice little bow on its high school football. We saw Folsom finally got over the hump after years of losing to De La Salle, and finally were able to beat the power that is De La Salle in California football. What did you think about that game?
Well, De La Salle's been good since forever.
I know, right?
And similar to like a Poly in our area that is just historically great. Anytime you get those upsets, it's just it's refreshing because it's like finally, you finally put the game plan together, and it wasn't an easy victory either. So it just shows that a team like De La Salle, you've got to go to the end's length to beat, and when you do, it really accomplishes everything you set forth in the season. Because at ending on a game like that, nobody expects you to come out of victorious, and we changing the tides, man. So it's good to see that victory happen.
Man, when you're a team in a program like De La Salle, anytime you lose, man, you're in shock.
Yeah, it's shock. No
'Cause
matter how good the other team is, no
Yeah.
matter what they got, it's always a shock.
Yeah. And another upset out there, Gardena. Speaking of Cal Poly, they upset Long Beach Poly. And Snoop Dogg and the rest of the guys are probably upset, but Long Beach Poly goes down.
Yeah, I mean, we got a chance to play Poly during the season. Our quarterback got hurt in the first quarter, so it's like it was kind of over after that. But they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of football. They're really physical and aggressive. They got a really good corner. I don't know if he has Notre Dame attention, but he's got a lot of different attention from D1s. But that's a good game. They played 3 times this year, once in the spring, once in the season, and once in the finals. So anytime you get a chance to beat a team on the 3rd time in one season, that's harder than any other game you can play because they really, really know you. It's one thing to play on once, but if you play them 3 times for everything, you're talking about a tough game to win. So Poly will be strong again next year, and I definitely will change that outcome of the game when we play them next time.
This is the early bell right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Shaun Davis, Malik, Zaire at SD2 Mike at Overtime. Malik, just giving you some early news before we begin to talk about the 2022 Notre Dame football schedule. Now, the crazy news that came out yesterday, I don't know if you saw this. Notre Dame is going to be facing a defensive coordinator 2 times over the next 2 games. We talked about and teased it a little bit on the last slant we had. But Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State, is now the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, from a scheme standpoint, this is which game do you think is going to be more difficult? Not because of the team, but because of the scheme. And the reason why at Oklahoma State and its players have been in that system for a long time. They're veteran-laden defense, very solid, play together. Jim Knowles more than likely is going to have a lot more talent when he goes to Ohio State to work with. But game 1, will they be as good in the system as what Notre Dame is going to face in the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State?
Well, I think this team, like you said, has been in the system, so they know more of the ins and outs than they would next year. However, Ohio State will probably have a more talented team.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's dependent on, which is a good thing. I'm glad that we're not seeing a full Tyler Buchner in this first game against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
So I do think Jim Knowles would have a different game plan if it was just Tyler Buchner. So it's good to see. Unfortunately, we have a guy like Jack Cohn who's here for the last year. So Jim Knowles' approach to this game against our offense is a different offense that he'll see next year.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's the benefit of playing this year at the end of the season compared to a new school next year. I think he almost has to restart in a sense on how he would rebuild the defense against a Tyler Buchner than a Jack Cohn. But I do think this year's defense will be more technically sound and harder to beat than next year, just because of a new year with a new defensive head coach. There's a lot of calls, a lot of things have to be done. Even though I trust a Ryan Day-led Ohio State football team,
yeah,
will they be as technically sound as this Oklahoma State defense now? Probably not. But will they be as competitive? Most likely, because they got a lot of talented players. I do think the quarterback situation from a philosophy standpoint, thinking that we have two different type of guys
Yeah.
will make a tougher challenge for Jim Knowles to be able to prepare for next year. But I do think if we see some Tyler, he'll keep some notes in the back of his mind on things that he likes and doesn't like. So the other good thing is that Tyler doesn't have a complete year of film where you can see exactly the things that he's really good at and not really good at. So it's a project for both sides. I think for Tyler, he needs to really this week take in a lot of what Jim Beam is as a defensive coordinator, not just Oklahoma State, just what his philosophies are, what he likes to call in the late. So this is kind of a prep for next year for Tyler Buckner if he wants to take that challenge. And
Yeah.
it's a good back-to-back game. You know, Jim Knowles is a great defense coordinator. He schemed up Big 12 defenses to be solid enough to get a good job at Ohio State next year. So it'll be a good game.
Man, absolutely. And on top of that, I really think the next 15 practices will be a huge opportunity for Tyler Buckner to get better.
Yeah,
and springboard into 2022.
It's a comfortable feeling when you get these last 15 because you know there's a good focus for ending the season the right way. And so for Tyler, I think it'll be more relaxing that he's got Coach Kelly off his back and he gets to spend more time with Tommy, who apparently has a great relationship with. And it'll give him an opportunity to really settle in, like I can be the starting quarterback full time next year. So let me lock in and learn from Jack. I mean, Jack's been around the game 5 years now, and so he's probably amassed a lot of info that can help with Tyler sharing. Because at this point, it's not even about competing. You know, you just want to finish the season strong and win and get out with a victory.
Also, Xavier Wamka came down to Ohio State, Iowa, and Notre Dame. The safety from Iowa, 5-star, chose to stay home. And he said he just wants to see what it feels like to rep where he came from. So he'll go to Iowa in Iowa City. It was funny because when I watched the announcement, I felt some type of way, you know, because you talk about the hats, right? You know, they have the hats placed in front of them. And a lot of these kids go with the pump fake. You know what I'm saying? It's a little playhouse now. A lot of kids go with the pump fake. You know, I was kind of offended because when he did the pump fake, he went to Ohio State. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. If you're going to pump fake, at least touch the Notre Dame hat, bro.
Right, at least give us the hope.
Exactly. At least pick us up. He didn't even touch the Notre Dame hat. It was like he went for the Ohio State hat and then came to the Iowa hat. I was like, yo.
Yeah, we're not a decoration hat. You're not a decoration.
At least make us a part of the fake.
That's right. That's right. And you know, the thing is, too, is that I'm not losing no sleep over losing a kid from Iowa, you know. So, you know, kids from Iowa, you know, that's probably a dream for them to play in Iowa. The dreams don't reach that far outside of what Notre Dame can give you. But, you know, you can't knock a kid from wanting to stay home. However, you know, there's a land that's greener if you step outside those Iowa walls.
Yeah. And also former Notre Dame offer and Ohio State commit safety Sonny Styles has reclassified from the 2023 to the 2022 class, and he will be setting foot in Columbus as soon as the spring semester begins. So that's pretty much the news in and around Notre Dame. That was a lot of news. We just wanted to get through it. Bro, let's get to the 2022 schedule, and we're going to set the win total.
At 9. Win total? Okay.
We're going to set the early win total at 9. At 9. Okay.
I'm liking 9. I think 8, but I'm liking 9.
Okay, let's set it at 9. Let's say, of course, we know we start out January 3rd at the Horseshoe. Notre Dame invades Ohio State. We just talked about the defense that they will possibly be seeing, a team that might not be used to the system, kind of like what we saw with Notre Dame versus Florida State. If they played Florida State again, Florida State might not score 15 points, but they were able to take advantage of the Irish not really being comfortable with Marcus Freeman's system early in the first game. That could be the case in the Horseshoe on September the 3rd.
I think if we can pull this victory off, I'll give us 10 wins on the season. I think
that's a swing game for you? Okay.
I think if we win Ohio State, we'll win 10 games that season because it's hard to have a more talented team than Ohio State.
Yeah.
On the schedule, I don't think there's a more talented team on the schedule this year. I mean, Clemson. I mean, yeah, we're playing Clemson and Ohio State in the same year. So if we can get Ohio State, we can definitely get Clemson. I think their quarterback situation is worse than Ohio State's. Only because
you said the cornerback or quarterback?
Quarterback. I think Ohio State's quarterback is better than Clemson's quarterback.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood what you said.
Oh, no. Yeah, I definitely think defensively it'll be tougher Ohio State week than Clemson week. I think Clemson's a great team constructed.
Yeah.
So I think our quarterback situation is better than Clemson's. But if we can get that Ohio State dub early and often, because it's in the beginning of the season and a lot of emotions in that first game and a lot of storylines and narratives, if we can get through that, that'll show a lot of mental toughness that we can get through the rest of the season. And that'll set us on a good trend. If we lose, I do think that's an 8-win season for us.
Ooh.
Because I think that if we're not good enough early on to beat Ohio State, the schedule doesn't get weaker, it just stays consistent. And so there'll be some games where week 7 or 8, it'll get tough for us and we'll have a Cincinnati type performance maybe. But that Ohio State game, first game of the season, can set a great precedent moving forward.
I'm going to argue that the toughest game on the schedule will be the Clemson game, and I'll tell you why when we get to it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
September the 10th, it is the Fighting Kane Maddens. The Fighting Kane Maddens come to South Bend.
That's right.
As Marshall faces off against Notre Dame. Look, that's that first game under Marcus Freeman when I need to see attitude. I need to see it. I need to see something serious. Yeah.
That's the game that defines the difference between Coach Kelly and Coach Freeman. A Marshall game with Coach Kelly, it'll go down to the wire.
They're going to make
Marshall
right?
We'll damn near make Marshall look like they should be ranked. With a Coach Freeman offense and a team and a defensive led team, this is one of them games where we treat them like how they are. We treat them like a Big East, that type of conference. It's that type of time for us to put up 50 points on the board.
Yeah.
They score 10. We celebrating the freshmen getting in at halftime, that kind of thing. That's the type of energy we need. We need that Alabama intimidation. The Alabama charity games where they have to pay these little schools all this money to get blown out. That's what this needs to happen for us.
So then Cal comes all the way from the West Coast early in the season to face off against Notre Dame and South Bend. Pac-12, need to dominate them as well.
Yeah. Ohio State usually goes out there and does them dirty, put 50 on them or something crazy. So I think they'll be smaller than us. So this will be a physical game for us to go out there and I mean, this should be back-to-back weeks. We should be rolling over guys, especially after that Ohio State game. So whatever happens at Ohio State game, them next 2 games should be dominating factors for us.
Yo, Tyler Buckner should be a Heisman candidate after those 2 games.
Shoot, if we beat Ohio State led by Tyler Buckner and then he crushes those 2 teams out, he'll of course be on that. That's a great setup for a Heisman run.
And then the 24th, we go to Chapel Hill. Mike Brown and his Tar Heels. Mike Brown, actually, the last 3 years, the recruiting classes have been really good. And he's played a lot of those youngsters. So they've taken their lumps. And next year might be the year that as a team, collectively, they're better. But they'll have a new quarterback as Sam Howell will more than likely be in the NFL.
Yeah, the thing about that I like about this matchup is it'll be a tougher challenge than last year because Coach Mac Brown's a very good coach. So in terms of having them coaches tricks up your sleeve, he'll have some situational stuff for Marcus Freeman that I think Mac Brown might have a slight edge in from do I punt it on 4th down or do I give him a trick play or do I try to catch him off guard? So I think that game will be tougher than last year. Like you said, they have a great recruiting class coming in. I think they have enough pieces to, they scored 59 points against Wake Forest, a top team the week after.
Kept Wake Forest out of the playoff.
Yeah, and I think that's more of their style of offense. Sam Howell obviously is a huge factor. Him leaving will affect them in some way, but I think the coaching performance in that game will stand out more so than the play on the field.
Yeah, well, that and Kenny Pickett going crazy on them in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett kind of became the number one quarterback taken in that ACC championship game. I mean,
yeah,
the fake slide, 59-yard touchdown.
He got enough athleticism and swag to him to get him in that top 5 quarterbacks.
Man, once again, we are with you each and every day, Monday through Friday now, the Lucky Lefty podcast at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Hell, let's do the math. That's 6 a.m. out there on the West Coast, bro.
Yes, sir.
That shows you we committed. My bro is up at 6 a.m.
We committed to getting 1,000 subscribers now.
Absolutely. So let's swing over to the month of October where there's a bye, and then Stanford, October 15th, comes in. Let me tell you why this Stanford game is very interesting to me. Stanford had a lot of injuries along the offensive line. Stanford went into USC early, banged USC. Then they went up to Oregon and banged Oregon early when they were healthy. So don't get it twisted. Like the healthy Stanford team that more than likely will be coming into South Bend, offensive line is going to be really good. Their defense probably is going to struggle a little bit as they replenish. They lost a lot of leadership along the front line. And their defensive backfield was depleted by injuries as well. So what I'm telling you is don't expect Notre Dame to just dominate Stanford the way they did at the end of the season, because that was a totally different Stanford team that walked into Oregon and walked into USC early in the season and just smacked them up. And you could tell David Shaw was extremely disappointed and upset by the narrative that Notre Dame pushed them around, because he felt like, it was nothing that Notre Dame did to us. We just didn't play up to our capabilities, which I was shocked by. Like, really?
Yeah, well, David Shaw never had no respect for us when it came to playing us every year. So I'm not surprised by his comments. However, I do think I agree with you. They'll be a lot healthier. And as just a rivalry, a Notre Dame versus Stanford rivalry for a head coach, those games are not easy to win either, because it's just a level that of play that's increased in that type of situation and game.
Yeah.
You're getting a team that's hungry, that especially if they talking as if we got by the skin of our teeth. I think it's important for us to keep that at the back of our minds, because we know what type of intensity they're bringing. It's never an easy game when you got to go against a really good offensive line with a run game, because you got to execute and be so perfect on offense. But I do think with it being a defensive-led team, we'll neutralize their offense in a way that'll be good enough to see if our offense can score points. So a lot similar to how we've been this season. Our defense has set us up with position to dominate by not allowing the other team, like you think about USC, a team that's scoring 30-plus points a game, being held to, 16 or something like that, or something outside of their average, which if we can lead our games with defense like that, holding other offenses to a below average of what they usually score, it just sets up Tyler Buckner to make a bigger splash this season on offense, to put some points on the board and just change the narrative a little bit. I think this is a good schedule, because if you think about the schedule right now, we have the schedule that undeniably will put us in the playoffs with no hesitation. if we can just win like we usually have been doing. So this is a lot better than this year's current year's schedule, because you don't have to search far to find teams over 500 on this schedule next year than we do this year. So there's no doubt in my mind we'll be a number one, number two if we can go undefeated or whatever. But it's also It's also a schedule where I don't care that we don't have a championship game at the end of the year, because every week looks like a championship contender, whether it be the best team in that conference or a team that's vying for a championship in that conference. So USC will be better next year. They'll probably be vying for that championship in their conference. I'm expecting Ohio State obviously to be who they are. They're going to be, especially missing it like this year, they're definitely looking to be in that Big Ten championship next year. Clemson is looking to come back and be in the ACC championship. I mean, we're dealing with championship teams in their conferences. So I 100% believe we'll be in position next year, if we do the right things, to not be a transitory team, but to be a championship team. And by that time, we should be ready for Alabama.
For sure. And I'm sorry, I skipped over the BYU game because we have the bye at North Carolina. Then you have BYU before Stanford. So that's another ranked game that they'll have.
And BYU's showing consistency with great players. I mean, you got Zach Wilson coming out there, Kyle Van Noy. So you're gonna get some heavy hitters in that BYU. And it's always a tough game because that team is always mature. I know that doesn't mean much, but they're mentally a little tougher, physically a little bigger. They have a no quit attitude like the academy schools.
Yeah, fact.
So beating them in the submissions is a little different. We might just have to just be more high flying and more flashy in that game.
And then the running Rebs come into, man, I feel like this is a basketball matchup. The running Rebs come in. And then we had Syracuse on the road. Dino Babers, I don't know how he's still the head coach of Syracuse, but he survives another offseason. And then Clemson comes back to South Bend. The last time they came to South Bend, they left with that L. So we'll be looking to send them back to Clemson, South Carolina with another L. This is why I think Clemson is the swing game of the year. At that point, Notre Dame will be undefeated or have one loss, depending upon the first game of the season.
Oh, okay. You got us winning some tough games. That first half ain't easy.
If they win the Ohio State game,
they'll win.
They're breaking everybody.
Yes,
they're breaking everybody.
Yes, because Ohio State is a top 5 team.
If they lose the Ohio State game, I see games against Stanford and BYU being like second half games when Notre Dame pulls away at the end. Let me tell you why Clemson's going to be tough. Because it's going to be tricky, and this will be a true test of who Dabo Swinney is as a head coach, right? You expect DJ to be a better quarterback. After the struggles.
I think DJ's not going to start next year.
Now, they do lose Lasson Jr., who entered the transfer portal.
They did.
But even though Brent Venables went to Oklahoma, and more than likely he's going to lose both of his coordinators. The head coaching jobs. So he'll have new coordinators, but that defense, they recruit. Talent won't be the problem defensively.
I don't know. Brent Venables had a lot of pull in that recruiting defensively.
Now, keep the continuity. Coaching staff has been together for a long time. So the people that were under Brent Venables, are talented enough to keep the party going? Like, are they talented enough? Because they have the talent on defense. They have like four NFL picks on that defense preseason going into next year. So they're going to have the talent. And by the time they get to Notre Dame, all the kinks will be worked out by the time November comes. And
we'll be hitting our stride by that time.
Cade Klubnik will be the quarterback.
That's what
Cade Klubnik will be the quarterback when they come to South Bend. So you don't even have to worry about DJ.
We don't worry about DJ.
Him early, might be able to get a dub because DJ will be on the field.
Yeah, if DJ's playing, we get a dub. If this other kid's playing, we'll see.
By the time week 3 hits, it's the Cade show.
The Cade show.
Man, let me tell you something. DJ has been hesitant to run the ball. Cade does not care. That game will be interesting to see. That'll be an interesting bet. Who has more rushing yards, Tyler or Cade Klubnik?
Shoot, I just hope Tyler smooths his game out with that running stuff. Y'all don't want to see him get no hamstring injuries. You know, that's still the most ridiculous injury of the college football season. Is the backup
The
quarterback
backup quarterback
getting the
telling him
fucking
hamstring.
hamstring? Like, what are you running so hard for? You the backup.
Then, of course, Navy comes in after the Clemson game, Boston College, and then
That's another trap game, though. Think of how emotional that Clemson game, win or loss, is, and then you come back with an academy school that's going to be better.
I would say so, but the familiarity that Marcus Freeman has with Navy, from playing them every year, it wasn't like previous coordinators that hadn't played Navy. You know,
he did a great job this last year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't nothing to think about.
And I think Navy's passing game might be a little bit better. It would have to be better. I mean, dude, that passing
game they miss a wide open hitch. I'm talking about wide open. Like,
I'm sure your starting quarterback for your high school squad could have thrown for more passing yards.
I mean, they had a bad year last year. I don't know if they was trying to do something different, but it did not look good.
It didn't look good at all. And then Boston College with Phil Jakovic, man.
You think he's leaving? I thought he was leaving this year.
Oh, he said he's coming back. He's already said he's coming back.
Oh, shit. I think it's because he got hurt early on.
You see your response there? You see your response there? You thought about it like, oh.
Nah, yeah, Boston College is going to be good. They're not bad now. They're definitely an 8-win type of team.
Yeah.
Like, especially with a quarterback that's getting better and he's loving it there. You know, it's different than I think he's coming back because he really enjoys being at Boston College. Like, that's a really good place for him, he feels like. So,
yeah.
It's kind of like it gives us some Matt Ryan vibes, some Matt Ryan at Boston College vibes.
Here's the Cushing game on the 26th of November, and I will be there in the flesh. The first matchup between Marcus Freeman and Lincoln Riley. And this is why I say it's the Cushing game. This is why I say it's the Cushing game.
Cushing game?
It's the Cushing game.
They ain't gonna have no defense.
They ain't gonna have no defense, but I do believe by that time USC will be a top 15 team.
Yeah, you know they're gonna be ranked under Lincoln,
especially with Mario Cristobal leaving and going to Miami. I think USC will be a top 15 team by that time, which bodes very well for strength of schedule at Notre Dame. Very well. Like if you have one loss and you don't have a championship game.
But you got a ranked team at the end.
That's the type of team you want to play at the end on the road.
And on the road, it is at USC.
Yes. Yes. So that's for me, that's the Cushing game. That's like, okay, if you slip up early, we can
rebound with that one. We can definitely
use that USC game on the road to bolster your strength of schedule and your argument to get into the college football playoff. So
that's in a worst case scenario, you got a Lincoln Riley team that you'll know be ranked, Ohio State team that you'll know be top 5 at the end of the season.
Clemson team,
a Clemson team that is going to get back in the rankings.
Now, who do you think needs to be that sneaky team that helps out your schedule?
It's either BYU,
okay,
or I don't think it's too many sneaky teams. If we win these big ass games that we got this year,
I think BC can be sneaky next year.
BC, but you were playing them at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, but I think
they usually become less relevant as the year gets.
BC at that point, I think BC challenges for an ACC championship game berth.
I'd much rather play them though in the beginning of the year. I think they'll be hot in the beginning of the year. You know, replace them with a Marshall. Now we talking.
No, man, that was the trade-off. You know, once we got Kane Madden in the transfer portal, we had to give Marshall a game. That was the trade-off. You know, that's that last deal Brian Kelly made before he got up out of here.
Oh, that was the worst move I've seen him make. I don't know. He did it on the whim. It had to be the first name on top of the alphabetical order list.
Yeah.
And Kane came before anything else. So maybe that's, man, I cannot believe that Notre Dame, we did a transfer like that. That's crazy.
Yo, Anthony Solomon says, I believe BYU and BC will help the strength of schedule. That's true. And like I said,
the strength of schedule is not a question this year. We probably have a top 10 strength of schedule this year going into 2022. So in terms of it being strong enough it'll be strong enough by the half of the year.
Yeah.
To give us the credit of getting there. Now, worst case scenario, we don't win those. We lose 2 of those 3 big games, like between Ohio State, Clemson, USC. We'll still be ranked by the end of the year because of the strength of schedule. So even if we do lose, those 8-3 record will be a top 25 team still because of the strength that we have to deal with.
And I'll say this because I talked about it. They won't have Sam Howell. But the rest of their team is going to be pretty good. Yeah. So North Carolina, you might catch them early, but North Carolina is the type of team, the same way they did this year. They catch fire at the end of the season and get hot. And that win early on might not be as impressive, but by the time you get to the end of the year, that might be a 9-win team that you beat.
They might slip around, beat a Clemson or something, you know.
I don't know about all that.
Brent Venables is a huge piece to what Clemson had going all them years as his dynasty. And with him leaving, just the effect of Brent Venables, Dabo can't recreate a Brent Venables. He can hire somebody else, but he can't.
He doesn't have to recreate. All he has to do is keep the same continuity. That's it.
That's hard to do. That
staff has been under Brent Venables so long. Look, man, it's certain teams. I'll never forget when Butch Davis left, right? Miami. And Larry Coker came in. And like literally the defensive players told him, dude, you don't have to say nothing to us.
That's a different time though.
You don't have to say nothing to us. You know what I'm saying? And
just don't mess it up. That's what they was telling.
You coach the offense. Coach the offense. We got this over here. We're good. We're good. And I'm not saying
they can't say that like Miami because I don't know. I just think Brent Venables played a huge part in the continuity, not even just the recruitment of the players, but the continuity. Those players love playing for Brent Venables. So we'll see. But I do think this is the hardest schedule. This is a harder schedule than any schedule that Coach Kelly's had. I'd say that.
I don't know.
This is a way harder schedule than some Coach Kelly faced in the last 6 years.
I'll tell you why I disagree. Because there were certain years where Stanford and USC were guaranteed beast. Man, both of those games were beast. Guaranteed.
These games next year will be beast. Lincoln Riley's gonna have USC beastie, and David Shaun knowing that.
Come on, I'm not respecting Stanford like that. I said it would be a better game. I didn't say they were about to be a 10-win team. Andrew Luck is not quarterbacking anymore.
But we know a couple things. We know Clemson has a potential. Well, first of all, we can establish that 90% of the schedule this year coming up will be over 500. Can we agree on that? Most of the teams on this schedule will be over 500.
The fighting
3 of the teams can win 10 games. 3 of the teams on the 2022 schedules can win 10 games. They got 10-game win capability. Ohio State, Clemson, and USC in the Pac-12 without Mario Cristobal can win 10 games. That's more than.
And I'll give you BYU as well can win 10 games.
BYU can win 10 games, so we got teams on the schedule that can win 10 games. That's a lot of games.
I understand. That's the same BYU team that gave up 50 to Virginia. That defense. Look, man, I don't see a lot of stout defenses on this schedule. I'm gonna be honest.
Not a lot of stout defenses, but a lot of
stout defenses on this schedule.
A lot of winning programs.
Clemson, North Carolina, their defense was young.
He was young.
So they might be a lot better. I don't see a lot of stout defenses on this schedule. I don't. I see a lot of offensive teams that won't score as many points against Marcus Freeman's defense. I see that.
He said a lot of offense ain't gonna score a lot. I think the first game will be a challenge defensively. Do we have the receivers? I mean, the DBs to keep up with those receivers with CJ Stroud?
Dude, they're losing. Wait. They're losing 3 receivers.
But they got some receivers in the tank though.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure. They discarded one, and he's number one on Mel Kiper's board. Like the dude they got rid of went to Alabama and became an All-American.
They got guys in that room.
That's
for
crazy.
Sure.
Like, dude,
Chris Olave was probably, if we had to say draftable players out of that room, he's probably like the third or fourth receiver in that room that's draftable. Because the talent that they have
out of that room.
Say what?
Who's your favorite out of the three?
Probably. See,
I'm like you. I always get ready to say somebody and then I stop myself because the other one pops.
It just depends on what you want. It really depends on what you want.
I know what I want. I already know what I want. But see, I'll go ahead. I always automatically get ready to say Garrett Wilson.
That's what I was about to say.
And then I start.
Garrett has the most talent. He has the most speed. He's the biggest.
And he's the best route runner. Crazy catches. But then I think about Njigba Smith.
But he's the go-to guy for them, though.
Yo, that's that third down. I need a first down.
Yeah, that's him. That's why I was like, they got guys in the tank.
Yeah, but he's leaving too.
Is he? I thought he was a freshman.
Oh, he's a redshirt sophomore. So that's his third year.
Yeah, that is his third year.
So if the league tells him, like, yo,
all three of y'all can go.
Yeah, because once Garrett got hurt, he went crazy.
He did go crazy. I mean, he went crazy in the last half of the season, especially.
Yo, him and I don't know what Chris Olave was, and it was unfair, dude, because of the conditions. If they had played, and this is funny, because most people might laugh at me. If they played Michigan, say like in October.
If they played Michigan without the snow.
Without the snow and the wind. Dude, because the catches they were making.
It would have been Michigan State. It would have been Michigan. You can't tell me Ohio State, with what they did to Michigan State in perfect conditions, wouldn't have done that to Michigan after watching how Michigan and Michigan State played each other. I'm like, Ohio State would have roasted them DBs for real.
That's why I feel like Notre Dame would beat Michigan head up.
What? Like, Michigan had the fortunate of Mother Nature on their side at the perfect time to play an Ohio State team that fell in love with all those points they scored because they threw the ball. So you get them into a complete opposite weather conditions where they can't do what they love to do.
Yeah,
you couldn't have forced a better hand for Michigan because they're like, oh, we love this. We just gonna run the ball. What a setup. So Mother Nature gave Michigan that win. Now we playing Michigan in a dome somewhere. Oh man. Come on. They don't have enough quarterbacks. They try to do a 2-quarterback system. They ain't got enough quarterbacks to beat us if we played them anywhere in this playoffs. That's why I'm like, we should have jumped Michigan.
Oh. Look, man, we just didn't take care of our business. This is the Lucky Lefty podcast. Thank you, LL Nation, for getting up early with us. We're going to be with you each and every day, 8 a.m. right here, Monday through Friday. And don't forget, tomorrow we have scheduled. Subject to change.
Yeah, every day.
But we have scheduled former Notre Dame wide receiver Chris Fink. He's going to help us compare Notre Dame's wide receivers versus Oklahoma State's in that matchup in the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time at 6 a.m. Pacific. So we're going to get to some of your comments and questions in a few minutes. So, Heisman finalists.
I think Bryce had his moment.
I'm about to throw a little shade. So, of course, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud went without Kenny Pickett.
He's had a good season. I mean, for Pitt, I think he's Pitt's most valuable player for sure.
Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson. Man, look. Stop.
Man, look. Yeah.
Man, get that dude out of New York, man. And it's not just the fact that he went to Michigan. Like, come on, man. What are we doing, man?
Yeah, y'all had to pull that one out of the blue sky.
No,
really?
And
really?
It's not similar to Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson literally had game-changing interceptions, pick sixes. He ran back punts and kickoffs.
This is a guy with a good season. That's all. Aiden Hutchinson, a guy with a great season. He didn't have a more impactful season than Chase Young. And Chase Young, damn near, we thought he could have won it if it wasn't Devontae Smith in there. So
Right.
Chase Young and Aiden Hutchins didn't even have like, come on. I think numbers sometimes don't tell the whole story.
Dude, I'm like, nah.
Because it was a last minute. It had to be last minute because I ain't hear about this
That
man.
Ohio State game put him over the top.
It had to be because I didn't even know he was in the run. I thought Matt Corral was going to show up before he showed up.
And him and David Ajabo, neither one of them are really good against the run.
Neither one.
So it's like you got a Michigan team that is bludgeoning everybody, get out, get big leads, and the next thing you know, their defensive ends pin their ears back, and they're getting sacks against subpar offenses.
Subpar offense, like the whole offense is subpar.
Name one great, like Ohio State still put up yards.
Yeah, they just didn't get in the end zone.
They didn't get
they
in the end zone.
Down the field.
Well, it wasn't like Michigan's defense just shut Ohio State down.
It wasn't like they did that versus Michigan State.
Dude,
Bill Walker was going crazy. I didn't even know Aiden Hutchins' name in that game. I was like, where is the DNs at?
Because Jabo and Hutchinson don't play the run well. That's why. That's why. They're not complete defensive ends. All they want to do is get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
Once the game got close, they got pushed around by Michigan State.
They did because at the end of that game, I mean, Kenneth Walker just ripping off big ass runs. And I couldn't find. I'm like, I didn't even know the kid's name wasn't even talked about in that Michigan State game. It wasn't until fast forward 5 weeks later, one game got you a ticket to New York. Come on, the college football committee got to do better.
I mean,
somebody not doing their job right.
Come on, man.
If buying into the moment was a thing,
we're talking about the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman Trophy, my guy.
If Michigan wasn't top 4 in the country, he wouldn't be there. They was like, I like Jamison Williams better than I like Aiden Hutchins. I don't know. Maybe I am biased because of the Michigan thing. I don't care. I don't think he deserves to be there this year.
I mean, the kid from Alabama deserves to be there if that's the case.
Yeah.
With the season he had. Or the Anderson kid.
Yeah, the Anderson kid.
He deserves to be there.
Because he
actually faced better offenses.
I mean, he faced against a Florida team which he dominated. He faced basically
Mississippi. Ole Miss.
Every game that he played in, he was highly talked about.
He had a game against Texas A&M.
He had a game against the team they lost against. And my thing is, if we're not honoring true defensive ends like that, and we getting guys like Aiden Hutchins, I mean, that's just disrespect.
I mean, look, I would rather, this is no shade, man. I would rather have Sauce Gardner there.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner had a great season.
He ain't gave up a touchdown in like 3 seasons.
Yeah, 3 seasons.
DB. Teams not even throwing at this dude.
They're not even throwing at him.
And you want Aiden Hutchinson there? Nah, I wouldn't do. And this is not Notre Dame hate. It really was it kind of is. But
it's by default.
It's by default. We're set on that. But no, Aiden Hutchinson shouldn't be in New York. He shouldn't be in New York. That's in my humble opinion. Let's get to some of these comments and questions. Most people feel like, yo, we were up the creek. You know what? You can talk about this. We really were up a creek if we didn't have. It would have been a true transitional year if we didn't have Jack Cohn at the beginning of the year.
I don't know. I think if we believe in Tyler like how we believe, I think Tyler would have gotten better throughout the season. We can see more potential moving into next season. I think that Jack provided a nice balance to what other people would find uncertainty with the team because they didn't know how we would be without Ian.
Yeah.
It did save Tyler some of the harder bumps in the road, having him not having to be in those crucial moments. But I do think it hinders him from being a bona fide starter going into next year, considering I can't really think of too many moments where I'm like, oh yeah, Tyler's ready. Outside of him just getting reps and plays on the field, so it's a good and bad. But I still think without Jack, we're more talented than 80% of the teams that we played this season.
That's what upsets me, man. And forget all this Brian Kelly stuff. And we tried to tell Notre Dame fans all season, like, really stick out your chest and talk that ish. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, the narrative from national media, they want to point out how many times we got bombed on in the semifinals of the college football playoff. At the end of the day, stick out your chest, man. There's only 3 programs better than us right now.
It's only 3.
There's only 3
programs better.
We're chasing 3 programs. So while all of the other people want to point to Notre Dame and talk about how we got blown out, dude, we're better than you.
Yes, I'm saying we're better than all the teams that are talking the most stuff. We're just not better than the Alabama yet.
Right.
Not better than the Georgia yet. And our guy over there, Irish Breakdown, made a great case that we're even comparable with Georgia at this very moment in time. So
haven't beat them. What we got to beat them.
We got to beat
Ohio State. We have to beat Ohio State.
But we got the challenge next year, so it's not like we're running from anything.
Right.
You can't say, out of anybody, you can't say we were running from the competition. We were just put in position because we deserved it. Did we always meet that challenge when we got there? No, but we definitely took on the challenge. We beat Clemson the year before when we lost in the playoffs to them, but at least we beat them.
You know what I mean?
They talk as if we got blown out both games.
Facts. We're a top
like, we won the first one.
you got subpar SEC fan bases. LSU talking trash. It's like, dude,
SC ain't been consistent since Reggie Bush, for real. When you can rely on them and say, oh, this is a program that's going to last. They've had more coaches than wins in the last 5-6 years.
They talking crazy. Wild crazy.
I know they're talking more crazy now. They got Lincoln Riley. They think they done found the key. They done hit the jackpot.
I told you. I'm petty, so put me on the petty train already for November 26th. I'm not going out there getting tickets in the Notre Dame section. No. I'm sitting in the USC student section as a grown man, and I'm about to be the pettiest. I'm about to let it ride in the USC.
You want Lincoln to hear you in the stands.
Man, true story. Before we get to some more comments. So I graduated from University of Illinois Champaign. And so when I went there, it was during when Tom Brady was at Michigan with David Terrell, and then Drew Henson was like this big upstart freshman quarterback, and he was platooning, right? So we go to the game, and I'll never forget, Drew Henson came in for Tom Brady early in the game. And my family are alums of Michigan, so we ended up in the alum section, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that for the whole game, me and my boy, we were sitting behind Drew Henson's parents. I let Drew Henson have it. Bro, I was like, this dude sucks. He probably sucks.
Oh, you're going in.
Man, I went in. I'm like, man, this dude trash, right? And I kind of blended in because it probably felt like I was a Michigan fan that was just upset with the way he was playing. But I was literally an Illinois fan in the Michigan section because of my auntie. And dude, I made his mother get up. Me and my guy, we went so hard. His mother got up and went up into one of the suites.
Couldn't stand what you was talking about.
Couldn't take it. And so one of the guys behind us tapped us like, yo, you know that's his parents in front of you.
But she couldn't say nothing because it was true. He was out there thinking to join up.
Man. So I'm here to tell you. If Malachi is playing, I'm letting it ride.
Yeah.
I'm letting it ride. I don't care if it's Jackson Dart, Malachi, I don't care. I'm letting it ride. I don't want to sit next to Notre Dame fans. I want to sit next to USC people because I want to let it ride.
That's right. That's right.
Like
Well, that's just gonna have to happen.
Shout out to Better Agency. We were talking about Gary Gray a little bit earlier in connection with Justin Rett, the Pennsylvania defensive back, 2023. Marcus Freeman checked in on him and the rest of the staff. He will be the highest rated defensive back to come to Notre Dame, commit to Notre Dame since Gary Gray in 2007. And I said that he was from Pennsylvania. He wasn't from Pennsylvania. He was from South Carolina. And shout out to you for that. Check in. We got a check in from Indianapolis. Better Agency also says, I think CJ Stan is huge. His film just looks amazing. CJ Williams. You've seen him up close. What makes CJ Williams so special?
Well, it's hard because he's playing on the best team in the country.
I was about to say, yeah.
That's so a lot of, he looks way better than what he would probably look like on a team that's not as great. But that's with anybody. I do think he's got the size, he's got the speed. But like I said, man, coming from programs like that, it's hard not to say he's good. I would like to see him in an environment like Notre Dame to see where his challenges are right now. But you know, in this high school setting for him, I mean, it's like playing with his baby food. You know what I mean? It's not a challenge to see something that sticks out other than him just being a physical presence at the receiver position.
Yeah.
He's going to high point the football. He's going to make plays. And he has great hands. But does he have a lot of separation? I don't know. I mean, he's playing against lesser competition every week.
Do you think he's the type of kid that comes in, new environment, Tommy Rees isn't answering to Brian Kelly anymore. Rumors that Tommy really wanted to go to Tyler Buckner in the middle of the season. So that leads you to believe that he doesn't have a problem playing freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that Tommy would.
In a new environment, that wasn't the case under Brian Kelly.
No.
You see CJ coming in, stepping into the horseshoe, making receptions.
Yeah, I do think that Tommy, if anybody, is going to coach with the best players and try to put the best players out there for real. So if a freshman is out there really making some plays, Tommy's going to find a couple plays for him to get in there and do what he does best. I think that way, offensively, and even for recruits watching, it'll change the perception of Notre Dame's offense to where young guys can get on the field, not just getting on the field in garbage minutes. I think we could have used Styles the whole year.
Yeah.
Some of these games we could have had Styles run out there first play and Will Fuller a post or something, and because we definitely were better than these teams. Like Toledo, Styles should have played the whole game. Yep. Nobody's covering this guy the whole game. So I think Tommy realizes that, and that's more just a new age, kids understanding kids are ready to play as a freshman if you put them in a good spot. Tommy's the guy and young enough to put those situations together. So I do hope to see CJ out there, but that's just coming towards the change of the tide in our receiver recruitment. Hopefully we get some more CJ Williams 5-star type of receivers that come down the pipe.
Yo, speaking of possible receivers, go ahead, go to the archives. We had a great cutting room floor with Malik Zaire. New offer 2022 athlete, defensive back, safety, wide receiver, everything. Cohen and Tringer from Walling Eye High School in Walling Eye, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, suburbs of Detroit. You did a fabulous breakdown on his film, and it's right there on our YouTube channel. So check that out. As soon as you're done with our show, go check out the cutting room floor, Cohen and Tringer. Talk about that kid right quick, because losing Xavier Wonka, this ties in. Thoughts on Xavier committing to Iowa? Think we're out of it? Or is there any chance he flips before signing day? No, he's not going to flip. He just seems like he was always that kid, man. And it's not a negative thing. Like, very close with his mother. Always wanted to stay home. Notre Dame had a chance, and then something happened during the recruiting involving the head coach, because after his visit to Notre Dame, things were trending up, and then things seemed to fall off a little bit. he didn't feel good about certain things, and then the next thing you know, I was the leader once again. Really, Notre Dame kind of caught up, and then after certain things happened, I
We're
was
not worried about no recruit from Iowa.
there. You go. There's Malik. I mean, he could turn out to be an NFL Hall of Famer down the road.
But
That's what's
we
up.
recruit kids in Germany.
The truth of the matter is, when it comes to tight ends and defensive backs, Iowa does a good job.
Yeah, they do a great job. He definitely ain't going nowhere where they're not going to develop him. I think from a personal standpoint, he can stay home and be developed at a position. They develop players. Look, I can't be mad at you, but you know, when you come to Notre Dame, just the expectation is different. You don't have a lot of expectations at Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, y'all want to be consistent enough to get to the Big Ten. That's great, but you know, y'all biggest hurdle is Ohio State every year. Our biggest hurdle is getting to beat Bama. You know, can we get to a Bama level to beat Bama? That's the level we're looking at.
No, their biggest hurdle was probably Wisconsin and not trying to back into the Big Ten championship game. That's their biggest hurdle. The heck out of here. I told you about Iowa when they almost lost to Penn State with a backup quarterback.
Wait a minute. We know Iowa's good against Iowa type teams. You know, they're gonna give a run.
Iowa State? Yeah, they're good against Iowa State.
They're good against Penn State, Minnesota.
You know, Penn State would have blown them out.
Oh, I don't know. Penn State, James Franklin, the biggest front runner out there. And then, you know, the Michigan school is how I feel about the
Shout out, man. Speaking of James Franklin, he got that extra bag, stayed at Penn State. He just has to.
He's just like Kelly. He'll flirt with greatness.
If he loses Drew Aller, if Drew Aller flips and Tommy Rees is working on him, if Drew Aller flips to Notre Dame and he doesn't have a quarterback again. He has two defensive ends, two linebackers getting ready to be drafted in the first and second round.
Straight up.
Like ranked second and third on the big board for Mel Kiper. That's crazy. We talked about Hero Canoe. You talked about him earlier. He's leaning on Ohio State. Now, this is the problem. Change the defensive coordinator and the people that recruited him. Notre Dame's back in the picture. He's very impressed with Mike Elston and Marcus Freeman being the leaders of the team right now because those are the dudes that were coming after him. So, do they have a chance late in the game? Yes. Will he probably still stick to Ohio State even with Jim Knowles coming in? Because Jim Knowles more than likely won't have a chance to physically meet him because he's preparing for Notre Dame, and he won't get a chance to talk to him until January the 2nd. I mean, meet him until after January the 1st. I'm sure more than likely he's probably giving the kid a phone call.
Yeah, the saving grace for them is that it's Ohio State. This isn't like, you know, another program to where you're so heavily dependent on your position coach or what they got cooking at that point in time in the program. With a school like Ohio State, it's hard to pass up just the school itself. You know, it's one thing to love a coach and go there because you really got a good connection with the coach. But with Ohio State, it's a little different because the program, you're going to be in a good spot regardless of who's there. And so I think that if that's what's big for him, then he's going to stay at Ohio State. He's like, I don't really care about offensive defensive coordinator. I just want to go to the block O and know I'm going to be in a good spot to win. If he's thinking like development and, you know, having a connection with that coach, because that's what's really important when you get there, we'll see what happens. You know, I think anytime a new coach comes in with not his recruits, it's just hard for the guys that are already there.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about a choice between us and Ohio State, at least our defensive coordinator is the head coach. So that's a relationship that you probably would want to have, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's been one of the main guys along with Mike Elston that's been recruiting. So the relationship is there.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about things switching up in that aspect. But when you're messing with top 5 programs of all time, like in Ohio State, and you're getting a coaching change, that coach has got a lot of pressure on him. So he's going to want everything to be ran the way he had it. So if you're getting guys that he didn't really bring in, it's just hard to imagine him working those guys in as well into the fold, unless you're like a Chase Young, something like that.
Easy taught me Jim Knowles will leave on January 2nd. We talked about that. I want to pull this up. Tell you right now, Easy taught me happy birthday. Yo, happy birthday on January 2nd. Indy will indeed play his defense twice. Jonathan Hilkema, I'm wondering what your take is on Clemson coaching situation. Is Dabo about to leave for the NFL? If he's not, is it an issue for them that much of his staff is leaving? We just really just kind of jumped into that. You, Malik, you think it's an issue?
I think it's an issue because, any staff that stays together that long and just revamps over 1 year, I think it's just hard to get that chemistry back right away. And the fact that they were losing chemistry that last year anyway in the season that they had, I don't think it just flips around in a year. They've been together for 10 plus years themselves as a staff.
Yeah.
So they'll go through some hardships from coaching because it takes a while to get the right fit to meld into what they've been doing so long. I mean,
right.
They haven't had to have a challenge like this before. So for Dabo, this is something he hasn't faced. And this is almost a change of a dynasty. Anytime you lose that core group of coaching, the program's no longer the same. I know the head coach is the same, but the program isn't the same. You can't authenticate those interactions with a staff that's been together that long. So they're going to go through some changes, which is good for us because we're solidifying our changes, but it's less of a blow because you got a first-year guy with Marcus Freeman who's a hot young head coach who doesn't know what he doesn't know compared to a Dabo who's been to the top of the mountain a couple times and with the same guys. Now he's doing it with different guys. I think that just changes the dynamic a little bit. I don't know if it hurts it or it just makes it different. So for us, I think that game is a staple game for us to solidify where we are as a coaching staff and as a team. And can we beat a good program that's in their transition? They may not be in transition from a player standpoint, but they're in transition from a coaching staff standpoint that makes winning games a little different.
I got Matt Altenberger. So he's laughing. That's all. That's the king, Matt. Yes, dude. That was the pickup. That was the deal Brian Kelly broker, right? You give us Kane Madden.
What kind of trade-off is that, though?
We'll cut you a check, bring you in the South Bend, and we're good.
We could have bargained with come on. You got a Jameson Williams leaving Ohio State to go to Alabama. Them the type of transfers we need. We need some.
We need you. What's up? Are you doing your job? Have you made contact with Eli Ricks yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's chilling in California right now.
Okay, so we need you. We need you to do your job. Then that's the type of recruit.
I got him on the phone now.
We need him to go ahead, hit Marcus Freeman up. We're quiet. We don't talk about the duffel bag on this show.
We don't talk about the duffel bag, but the duffel bag can be talked about. The duffel bag is in the discussions if that's what it really comes down to. Because look, all we need is one good year.
Man, we put him opposite Cam Hart, put Clarence Lewis on the inside.
All we need is one good year.
That's it.
I can pay for a year. Look, there's what's cheaper, a 4-year scholarship or a 1-year cash out? Come on, Notre Dame. We ain't got look. You talking about saving money? We the most savingest money in school. Go ahead, throw that little check out. You saving $250,000 for 4 years. Even 5. There's another 50 if it's 5 years.
Oh man, it's too early to be action like this, man. This schedule sets up nicely for a team to have the resume to make the playoffs. I'm just not sure this team can get through with only one loss. New quarterback, O-line. First of all, the O-line is not new. And shout out to Joe Alt on being named freshman All-American freshman yesterday. He solidified the left side. And with him and Kristofic and Blake Fisher and Jared Patterson, who's ranked second, if Jared Patterson decides to return, this O-line is not new. They literally used this season to jail. So all you're losing is Kane Madden, which is addition by subtraction, and Josh Love, who really has played below expectations this year.
Yeah.
So
Below
you just plug
expectation.
in Blake Fisher at right tackle. Joe Alden's been a stud at left tackle. You get Christophic. You get Jared. That's you want to recruit somebody, recruit Jared Patterson to stay at center, and then go ahead and field
That's right.
one
That's
of your
right.
youngsters. And the fact that we're getting Harry Heaston back
You
in
get a
some
guy like
capacity.
Harry Easted, and
The
you
O
mix it with
line,
that.
the O line is the last thing I'm worried about going into Ohio State.
That's the strength. Yeah, that's the strength going into next year. I was
I'm
worried about
worried.
the
I'll
outside
be honest.
guys.
I'm worried more about Tyler Buckner than I am
Yep.
the offensive line.
Yep.
Fact.
The offensive line gonna protect whoever back there. I'm worried
Man.
about who's back there and who he throwing it to. Because the
I'm
running
really-
back is straight. You know, we could be like the Patriots and run the ball 40 times and let Tyler throw it 3. I'm cool with that. We got the team to do that.
I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. CJ Stroud is going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
He's going to be a
absolutely.
challenge. Now, I think we'll probably be able to pressure him a lot. But like you said, that wide receiver room at Ohio State is a factor. Like,
factor, huge factor.
they just
Hopefully
keep
it's
turning around.
raining. You know, we get that South Bend windy weather.
Earl, I don't know, dude. It's probably going to be like 85 in the horseshoe. September 3rd, a nice autumn day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right because that works for us too.
It works. I mean,
we have offensive weapons, so
we got some guys.
Yeah.
Let's
see. The schedule sets up nicely for a team to have the resume to make the playoffs. Just not sure this team can get through with only one loss. Oh, and just the one of Jimmy James. I'm sorry. That's the one I just put up. Yeah, Jim. We put the over/under win total at like what 9?
If we win Ohio State, I'm saying 10.
At 9 right now, that's where we'll set it. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over now.
You taking the over?
In August.
Okay.
I'm taking the over in October, November. I'm taking the over. They had us at 8. They had us at 8-9 wins this year, and I'm like, nah.
I'm telling you, we win at 10 if we beat Ohio State that first one. We win at 10.
We're a top 5 program.
Yeah, of all time.
No such thing as 8-4. Not what? Nah. We're not good. Well, Clemson did have a step back season, but we're not Clemson.
We definitely not Clemson.
We're not Clemson. Anthony Shea, I'll let you answer this, dude. If you had to guess which quarterback would be the first quarterback recruit, who would be the first quarterback recruit? I guess for Marcus Freeman.
It should be Dante. It should. He shouldn't. He don't have to go far. He don't even have to catch a plane ride.
No,
just slide right up.
Man.
Don't make it hard, Marcus Freeman. You know,
just ride up there like the president. Get the all black.
Get an escort, get a police escort, just to show off the city. You done made your arrival. You know, make it look good, Marcus Freeman. Come on.
What's the latest on Nico though? Nico,
he had just taken a visit to what's that school? He had just took a visit to.
Nico, quarterback. Nico, I am a believer. That's who we're talking about.
Believer. Yeah, he just came back from a visit somewhere, but. You know, this is Lincoln Riley area now, so I don't know how much.
I know. That's what I was about to say. Even though Lincoln has
Malachi Nelson down the street from Nico, it's hard to pass up when a guy's saying, "I've had the Heisman's the last 4 to 5 years." Guys, participating in that. So, see what happens.
Yeah. So here, I believe BYU and BC will help the strength of schedule. Yeah, I can see that. Shout out to Anthony Solomon. Let's see. Eugene Williams. So do we cast quick judgment out the gate from the first game? No. We won't. I mean, Ohio State's going to be a good team.
Ohio State going to be, where they at every year.
It might end up.
I can't say judgment because it's his first game of the season.
Yeah.
I can predict what would happen after that in terms of how we'll transpire after that, only because our season's been coming down to these Ohio State these one-off games anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. Got another check-in from Indianapolis. I ain't afraid of no goats. We appreciate you. Eugene Williams, Pine Stain, personal personally thought he should have gotten more playing time. Here we go, the people's champ, boy.
But
Okay,
when though?
fine,
But
it's the
when should he
people's
have
champ.
gotten more playing time? When? We are still 11-1. I want to know when he should have got time because we're 11-1 without him.
The
Or the
people's
Wisconsin game.
champ. Shaun Hunter, love you guys. We are indeed, no doubt. I got Demetrius Rex, OK State score prediction, 38-10, Notre Dame. Hey,
I don't know about 38-10.
No. I can see that.
We would have to start hot.
But
And
you
if we start
understand,
hot,
you know, what's believable about that is Oklahoma State having the 10. Now, whether or not Notre Dame can put up 38, that's debatable.
I think we pick off Spencer Sanders the first half 2 or 3 times, getting pressured, we can beat them 38-10. If we get on them early, if we let them just start throwing these bubbles and these quick screens and these quick outs, nickel and dime us to death, it'll be tough.
Man, look, Spencer's gonna give up the ghost, bro. Start running back, more than likely he's not playing. No running game against this defense. Dude, boy. So Avery Davis, we got someone that I haven't confirmed. Haven't been on. C-Max says Avery and Davis and Joe Wilkins Jr. both leaving ND, according to 247 Sports. Look, I can be honest with you. Joe Wilkins lost his job due to injury. But it wasn't long before Lorenzo Styles and Deion Colsey.
Yeah, them boys.
The writing was on the wall. So
the boys is ready.
Whether he got injured or not, and then Avery Davis, he sees Lorenzo.
It's just we see it.
He knows.
But,
So
with that injury, it's not helping either.
Yeah, Avery can actually go somewhere else and be very productive. He has good tape. He can go to another really good team.
Another thing too is both of those boys are graduating, so it ain't nothing that we really.
Yeah,
you did what you wanted to do here, so get a chance to go play at another place. It's a fun feeling too.
Yeah, Holy Sal said, "Don't forget they have Henderson too." Nobody would, man. I promise you, we're not.
I ain't forgetting no Henderson.
We're not forgetting about that dude, man.
Look,
that's why I said, like, yo, Ohio State's going to be a really good team.
Yeah, they're gonna be good for sure.
You can take a little breather because they won't have the same 3 wide receivers, so the continuity early might not be there. Right? Because you had the 3 receivers that had to get used to C.J. Stroud, and you saw it wasn't there early in the season. So now C.J. Stroud has to get used to new receivers, and out the gate, that might be an advantage at some point. Also, the AD for Clemson, athletic director, also did leave, go join Miami. He's actually, if I'm not mistaken, he has a connection to Miami, whether he graduated from there or worked there previously. So that's it, man. I think that's all the comments. Got one more. Thoughts on moving Joe Alt to the right side and let Blake get the left spot. I think from what we've heard that they're comfortable, really comfortable with Joe on the left side. But I mean, dude. Once Harry gets a hold of him,
hey, we'll let Harry decide. That's what I think. I'll let Harry decide.
You're gonna have some monsters at tackle, bro. You're gonna have some monsters at tackle.
Blake Fisher, where he stand, man, another Ronnie Stanley down the pipeline.
You think so?
Yeah.
Here's another one. One last one before you go. I'll let you get this one. Michael Graves, shout out to you. Will our team speed be the same or better next year?
Watch the cutting room floor and see our recruit Keon Entringer. You'll see the team speed right there. You'll see it increase. You got a hybrid type of player, a guy that can play safety, linebacker, and receiver. Something that we're going to be getting used to in the type of athletes we're recruiting. Guys that can play all over the field and are versatile, so the team speed will be better.
Yep.
I love Drew White to death, but Drew White wouldn't get recruited at this point in the Marcus Freeman era.
You're so petty, dude. You're so petty. We're gonna end each and every show with the petty train. Every day we put somebody on the petty train, and today I gotta put Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud on the petty train. He's in New York. This is where the awards shows, the circuit. So they've been making the circuit, and now they're headed to New York. He was interviewed yesterday and was asked about his thoughts on the Michigan defense and Aiden Hutchinson, and his response was super petty. He said they really weren't as good as they were on that day because of the snow. If it wasn't windy and if it wasn't snowing, we would have put up at least 40 points on it.
Yeah, what? But
I said, yo, I almost threw my hat like CJ Stroud is going straight in. Like, bro, man, this is dude.
He must have been watching the Lefty podcast.
Something no one told him. The SID at Ohio State, I obviously didn't tell him, like, this is where you're PC. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to set up your Heisman run for next year. Be PC, be humble. And he's like,
because you know why? Because when they lost, Michigan fans ran on the field and probably made him remember that shit. And he probably was like, you know what? We would have smacked y'all for real if it wasn't for this guy. He said, y'all didn't see what we did to Michigan State the week before. Y'all thought that wasn't happening to y'all? Y'all lucky Mother Nature was on y'all side that day.
Dude, that's basically what he's saying. Like, man, y'all really not that good. Let's stop. Aiden Hutchinson shouldn't be in this room.
Yeah. He basically said
be on this circle with us. Defense is really not that good. If Michigan State put up 38 in clean weather, we definitely would have put up 40 plus on these dudes in clean weather.
No, facts.
CJ Stroud is a little ticked off. Like, man, don't be asking me about that game.
Yeah, I love it because he's a real Ohio State fan. He ain't never gonna give Michigan no credit. He don't care if he had the Heisman. He don't care where he at. He ain't giving no credit to the team up north.
Yo, man, throw CJ Stroud on the petty train, man. So, each and every day we'll be here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central Time. That's 9 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. on the left coast, which Malik is always saying is the best coast.
That's right.
And yes, I see your question. Harry Heaston is being brought in more than likely as an analyst, but connected to the offensive line. I don't care how he's connected.
I don't care. I don't care if he's just there, just watching practice.
Yeah, and then the news came yesterday that Brian Kelly kept the offensive line coach at LSU on staff. So I don't know what Jeff Quinn.
Not even a wrong homeboy.
I don't know what Jeff Quinn is about to do.
He's like, damn, I thought I was coming too.
No, he didn't get that Kerry Cooks deal.
He didn't get that Cooks deal. He got the Yeah, Kerry Cooks is like, yeah, I'm not keeping you on.
Like, hey, dog, I don't even know what happened. Let's get out of here, man.
All right.
He's so crazy, dude.
It's been another good one. We spin it different.
It's been a great show, man. Lucky Lefty Nation, thank you for chiming in, man. Each and every day, Monday through Friday, we'll be right here. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when we're getting ready to go live for my man, Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik. We're presented featuring Onora Whisky, OnoraWhisky.com, the premium American whiskey. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, right here. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Go ahead, follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Until tomorrow, peace out.